Hi everyone, it's Rich. This is the new version of the Activity 3 video. Hopefully we'll fix the syncing problems. So I'm in my week 10 folder on Blackboard. Hopefully you've completed activities 1 and 2. So the first thing I'm going to do is take my files from last week. Here's all my week 9 files. I'm going to take those. I'm going to copy all of them. And I'm going to make a week 10 folder for today. Paste those in here. Okay. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create right away, I'm going to create a new folder called images. So what we want to do is we want to be able to upload movie posters along with our movies and have those tagged. So I'm going to create an images subfolder. I'm going to open up this in my code editor. So I'm going to use PHP Storm this week. You've been seeing videos of me using Expression Web. This is another free editor. You get a free 30-day trial. If you register as a student, I believe that's renewable for up to a year or longer. So I'm going to open up my folder. I'll just open my week 10 folder. I think I'm going to work with my local database today. It's just going to save me some time. So I'm going to go to my database file, and rather than working on the DreamHost database, you don't have to change this on yours. I'm going to change it on mine. I'll just work with a local database and work on my local server to save me time. So I should be able to have my application running here if I want to load up my week 10. Here's our application as we left it last week, and I can log in. I will fix that little error, no problem. Session start, telling me it's ignoring session start. So I get my list of movies. Oh, maybe I better go into my auth page. We already are calling session start in the header, so I don't need this. Now my error goes away. So here's where we left it. So I've got these movies: Everest, Black Mass, Steve Jobs, Walk in the Woods, Black Swan. I can go in, edit, and delete. This is where we left it. So what we want to do is we want to add the ability to upload a photo and have it display here. So I've got a zip file here with a bunch of movie posters. So I want you to download and extract. Here's the link. I've grabbed the images. So I'll just save this file in my pictures. I'll save it as movie posters. And I'll just go to that folder. Here's my movie posters. And I'll just extract it to a folder called movie posters. So now inside of my pictures, I have movie posters with these files: Walk in the Woods, Black Mass, Everest, and Steve Jobs. I don't have the Black Swan one right now. That's okay. So what we need to do, the next thing we need to do is modify our database quickly. So just click in. I'm going to go in and connect to my database. I'm already connected here through my SQL Workbench. I'm going to run my use command. Again, pause the video if you need to stop to catch up. Get connected to your database either through the browser or through my SQL Workbench. And let's look at our movies table right now. So right now, here's my movies table. What we need to do is we need to add a column into the table so that when we create or edit a movie, we have the ability to also upload and store the name of the image, an image. So in here, I'm going to run an alter table command. I'm going to add a column called photo, which we will want to be, let's make it 100 characters. We will allow nulls because obviously right now we have no values. So I'm going to add this column that will store a 100 character variable length string, and it will get added on to the end. So now when I execute that, Workbench tells me my alter column ran successfully. If I run my query again, if I run that query again, we can now see we have nulls in the photo column, which is good. That's what we want. So what we want to have is an upload box on our movie, and we also want it to, if we already have an existing photo, we want that photo to be displayed when we go to edit a movie. So what I want to do next is open up my movie.php page and just going to add a few things at the top for my local host so it doesn't crap out on me. Just going to initialize all these variables as null. You don't need to do this on the DreamHost server. My PHP configuration on my local machine is going to require me to do this. And I'll do the same. Initialize those. So I'm going to code it out of my form, and underneath our URL, but before we have our submit button, we want a new field set. And we'll give it the same class, form group, put on a label, and we'll use Bootstrap to make that label the same width as our other labels. And now we'll use, like we did in activity 1 and 2, we're going to use an input. At this time, we want it to be type equals file. This will give us our file upload box. We'll give it an ID of photo and a name photo. It's not required, and there's no value here. We can't use this for displaying the photo. The other thing we're going to need to change is our form tag. We've already got two attributes, method and action. In order to do that file transfer over HTTP, that binary conversion, we're going to also need to set the encoding type attribute to multi-part form data. So we did this in our previous file upload example. Without this attribute, no files will get transferred from the client machine to the web server. So we're going to add ENC type as multi-part form data, and we're going to add these lines, line 62 to 65 on my screen. With input type equals file, we're giving an ID of photo and a name of photo. If I save that change and go back to my browser now, if I want to refresh and look at a movie, I now get a browse button. So I can now browse and go into my movie posters and pick the Everest, which is good. But what we need to do is we also are going to need code on our save page that can process this file upload. So we'll do that next. So I'm going to open up my save movie page. Everything we already have here is fine. Again, I'm going to initialize my photo variable. Create a variable called photo and set it equal to null. So next, what we want to do is check whether the movie included a photo or not. So we'll say this time we're going to use our files collection and the name. Actually, maybe we want to check whether files photo is empty or not. We'll wrap this. So if not empty, files photo, we will process photo upload if there is one. We want all this stuff to happen inside of an if statement. So we're going to validate in here so if the type does not equal image JPEG. We'll print out a message saying invalid photo. And we'll set OK equals false. Otherwise, we have a valid photo. So what we're going to want to do is give it a unique name and save that photo. So let's call session start. We want to give it a unique name. We'll create a variable called final name is equal to session ID. So we'll append the unique session ID on, and then an underscore, and then the name of the photo. So this way our file names are going to be unique. We'll get where the photo is currently using the temp name property. And lastly, we're going to call move uploaded file. So move it from our temp directory into our images folder. We're going to use double quotes here with our final name. So this way, if two users upload photo with the same name, each one is going to get named uniquely because it will be prefixed with the session ID. Okay. So there's our code for processing. That will save the file, but now we also need to get the file name in our database, which is going to involve modifying our SQL. So if we do an insert, we're going to need our photo in our insert, and we will also need it. If we don't have a photo, that value can just be null. That's okay. Just going to see if I can wrap my words. Okay, I'll just put in a carriage return, which is okay. Now we need one more parameter here. And we said it was a 100 character string. So we've added photo parameters to both our insert and update, and we've added a photo parameter here. So we're going to see now if we can actually save. So what I'm going to try to do, we may have to tweak this a little bit. Again, I'll just go out of here. I'll click on Edit for Everest. I'm going to browse. I'll go to Pictures, into my movie posters, click on Everest, and we'll try to submit. Let's see what happens. Okay, something didn't go quite right, so let's see what's here. My image is here, so that's good. It's got my session ID. Let's see what happened. We may have had an issue in the database. But my photo didn't save, so let's figure out why. Part of the problem is we didn't save the right name. We want to be saving the final name that includes the session ID. So rather than our photo variable, we want this to be our final name variable. Now, we never got a message saying the movie saved, and something went wrong with our database. Here's the problem. I've got to update this to use I'm going to update my save page so it uses my database file. Wrong connection. Let me go back. We'll start all over again. Now you'll notice what happens. My image was timestamped 1137. I'm going to browse to Everest again and submit. Now it says my movie's been saved. My image, because I have the same session ID, the file is overwritten at 1138. If I used a different browser or it was a different user uploading, then this session ID would be unique. It says my movie is saved, and now when I go back and look in my database, now I've got my movie showing up. So I want to upload one small problem. It added a new movie for me. So I need to fix this as well. Why did it add a new movie? I'm going to delete that one. We'll delete from here for now. Go back to movies. So I have movie ID. I need to include my movie ID here as well. Otherwise, I'm going to do an insert every time. So we know it works with insert. That's good. So I'll try again. I should be set up now. I can edit Everest. Pick on it, pick it. It says my movie is saved. And now when I go back and look in my database, I now have got the photo name for Everest. So this is good. This is what we want. So our database holds the file name, and our file is here in our images. If you're uploading to FileZilla, you won't automatically see the files in the images folder. You'll have to right-click and refresh to verify your file is there. So what I want to do now is I want to go back to my movie page. And we also want on this page, if we have a current photo, we want to display it down here. So I'm just going to put in give it a class, column small offset 2, so it aligns with our other inputs. And in here, let's create an image tag. So in our source, we're going to go to our images folder, equals movie poster. But what we also need to do up here in our query, I'm going to add in and initialize a photo variable. And now when we're populating all the fields, we're selecting everything. So we'll now have access to our photo. There's our movie photo. And in here, in our source, we're going to include our photo variable. So we'll populate photo in our query when we're looking up a movie, and then we're going to set that images / and the name of the photo as our image source. So let's try that. So now when I refresh, okay, something's not quite right. Let's see if I inspect, view the image info. I missed my PHP tags, of course. This is a PHP variable. So just like with our other values, I need to echo out the photo. So don't leave any spaces here. This has part of the path, so it has to come directly after our slash. So it's images slash, and then we're echoing out the name of our photo that includes the session ID. So now when I refresh, there's my movie poster. If I go in to one of the other ones, I may get an error because we don't have a poster. Okay, so maybe what we want to do, rather than having this image not show up, is we want to wrap this in an if statement. We'll open a set of PHP tags and say, if our photo variable is not empty, and then down below, I'll close that statement. I can indent it. Let's see what happens now. Make sure I get my brackets right. So there's for empty. Oops, I've got the wrong bracket. That should be an opening brace. Sorry. Now my code editor's happy. So 2 round brackets and square. So if our photo is not empty, display the photo. So now when I refresh, we get no image showing up here for Black Mass. Yet when I go to Everest, I have that photo showing up. So now I should be able to go in and edit the others. So I can go to Black Mass, choose my Black Mass movie poster, and submit. My movie's saved. And now when I go back, there's my movie poster. If I look in my images directory, we now have Black Mass. Same session ID because I'm still logged in with the same user session. I'm going to go in, upload my other movie posters for Steve Jobs. And my poster will also show up for a walk in the woods. So I now have all my movie posters if we look in the database. So tying images to a record in the database is as simple as creating a column, building these our simple save and upload and save page, making sure we're uniquely identifying the images. Just going to go back to our listen here. So once you have this activity done and you have your movie posters being uploaded, you may have to search online for other movies. Then you can mark this activity as done and you can proceed to lab 10. Actually, one other thing we want to do, sorry. We also want to build one other page here. So I'm going to go back to week 10. So I'm going to make a new PHP file, which I will call gallery.php. We're going to take out everything in the header and we'll just set the page title. Let's open up my header. So we'll set our page title variable. We'll require our header. Down at the bottom, we'll require our footer. Inside of our header, we're going to open up my header. We're also going to have link gallery.php. where we can show all of the images that have been uploaded. And this is a private link. Only users who are logged in can see this. So we're going to make a new link to gallery in our header file. So here's gallery. We don't get anything yet. I messed up my tag here. And again, I just have to initialize my variable, which you don't. Yours. Oops, that's not my problem. My problem is I have a $sign in front of my require statement. That should fix it. So now I just have basically a blank page with my header and footer. Okay. We're going to require our database as well as our authentication file. So underneath my header, I'm going to include both of those. We're going to set up an SQL query that will select the movie ID, title, photo, movies, photo is not null. So if there's no poster, we don't want to select that movie. Set up a command to run our query. I'll execute on our query, and we'll store the results. Call fetch all. So now what we want to do is loop through and display our movies. And then we'll do some formatting. So for starters, we'll just print out a div. Probably do this in single quotes. And we'll display the photo as the source. And we can give it a title property of our movie title. We're going to have to fix something. I see one mistake I've made. Title. Then we'll close the div. Instead of hard coding this here, we're going to need to append our photo variable in single quotes. We'll need single quote here and disconnect. We'll format this a bit. Let's see what happens. So we're creating a div and closing it. We're creating an image tag, and we're pulling from the images folder with the, and this should be movie, which is each movie record. Let's see what happens. So we get the movie posters displayed this way. And we can probably format this a little better. I think if we use the class of bootstrap class of thumbnail, We get a little border around it. We get the title, which is good. We can make these links to movie.php, movie ID equals. Now we could append on movie ID. So I'm going to close that anchor, and then I'm going to move this one inside the closing div tag. So inside the anchor. So now each movie should be a link. Oops, I'm going to take that double quote out because it's closed over here. So now each of these are linked to the right movie. It's going to make these divs bigger. Let's say class equals call. Make it medium 4. Let's see. Just going to look up. Want to get the formatting right for you. Small 3. We'll do call small dash 3, call dash mid dash 4. Let's see how that works. We'll just view our page source for a minute. Well, we'll play around. I'm going to post this for now, and I will also post a little bit of a fix in terms of how it looks. Somehow I've made one mistake, which is causing our styles to break just a little bit. The main functionality of our gallery is here. So you should be able to build your gallery. If I can fix the CSS for this, I will put a post on here so that you can do it as well. And you can mark this activity as complete and proceed to lab 10.